The Iron Flute, Case 98. Kyujo's Order. Keigon Kyujo was the shuso, or manager monk, at Rakuho Genon's monastery. Fugai comments, a very responsible position. One day he struck his gavel and ordered, "Monks from the first to the middle seats, go out to work in the fields. The remaining monks, go to the mountain to gather firewood." Fugai comments, a general gives orders to his soldiers. "What should Manjushri do?" asked the Ino, head monk for training. Nyogen Senzaki comments, every zendo has a statue or a painting of Manjushri. Fugai comments, he is really the head monk. Kyujo continues, my order only concerns those monks seated on their cushions. Manjushri has nothing to do with it. Nyogen Senzaki. In the Diamond Sutra we read, Subhuti, anyone who says that the Tathagata comes or goes or sits or lies down does not understand my teaching. Fugai comments, he knows his position very well. Later, Engo Kokugon commented on the dialogue. Keigon Kyujo gave a wonderful performance. The head monk's question was fine enough to thread 9 spiral shells. Fugai, nothing fine to me. Nyogen Senzaki, someone asked Confucius how to thread 9 spiral shells, but he could not answer. A woman told him to put honey at the one end and let an ant carry the thread through. He added, to open interlocking rings, I have a different method. Fugai, oh yeah? Let's see it. Nyogen Senzaki, another riddle in China was to solve the puzzle of interlocking rings, which no wise man could do. But a woman smashed them with a hammer. Engo commented, if I were questioned in that way by the head monk, I would answer, the path is like a mirror. It does not move itself, but reflects all that comes. Fugai, break that mirror. Genro, if anyone asked me, without threading 9 spiral shells or releasing interlocking rings, what Manjushri has to do, I would hit him before he even finished his question. Why? Because those who cultivate the fields have only to act as ordered, and those gathering wood also act as ordered. Nyogen Senzaki's comment, that is the actual act of Manjushri. Fugai says, Keigon Kyujo shows Dharmakaya. body of law or truth. Genro depicts Sambhogakaya, reward body. Engo shows Nirmanakaya, manifestation body. If I were the manager monk, I would hit the gavel and dismiss the head monk for the day. Genro's verse. Threading 9 spirals, smashing interlocking rings. Fugai comments, real wisdom works without thinking. Genro continues, the wheel of Dharma turns itself independently. Fugai, great wisdom is like great stupidity. Genro, Confucius is wise, but he cannot defeat the woman. Fugai, born, not made. Genro, the old pine tree grows on a snow-covered rock. Fugai, it makes me shiver. Genro, the early plum blossom anticipates the spring and smiles at the fence. Fugai, I love that fragrance. We say, oh, it's such a beautiful day outside. Where is that beautiful day? Inside, outside, all around. Nowhere is it not. Gento's delightful talk yesterday brought back so many memories, particularly the March on Washington. It was August 28th, 1963. I was 20 and was about to start my junior year at Vassar. So I was pretty independent and said to my parents, I'm going down to the March on Washington. They said, absolutely not. I had already been on a freedom ride, it was just the next thing. But I was very strong-willed and had pretty much been living a secret life anyway. So I told them a lie. Okay, I'm going to go visit my girlfriend at her country house. Maybe we'll go sailing. Okay. I really don't remember how I got there or with whom. There were many buses. I have no memory of that part. But arriving at that great, wide open site in Washington, D.C. Wow. Unbelievable. 250,000 people, black and white, young and old, a vast sea of humans. Marching. Really, it was just a slow-moving wave. You couldn't really walk. Too many people. From the Washington Monument to the Lincoln Memorial. And we finally stopped, and I couldn't really see. I could see the Lincoln Memorial, but tiny, tiny little dots of people on the stage. But I could hear Mahalia Jackson sang as the lead-in to King's I Have a Dream speech. Joan Baez sang, "Oh, freedom," and "We shall overcome," with the Freedom Singers. And she was joined by Bob Dylan. Both of them so young, so in love. And we were. What an era. In today's koan, which seems quite complicated, who's talking, who's who? We have quite a few people in this koan, and places and eras too. And they're all right here now. Just as we heard in Nyogen Senzaki's Buddha's birthday poem, time and space shrink into this moment. So we meet Kegon Kyujo, a 9th century Chinese Zen master, and his unnamed head monk. And we meet Manjushri, the Bodhisattva of wisdom. There he is, to the left of the Buddha on the wall, holding sword, riding on a lion, and you can't quite see the folk art sculpture of him to the left of the baby Buddha. And on the other side, Samantabhadra, Fugen, also on the wall. Monju and Fugen in Japanese. And we meet Engo Kokugon, who lived in China from 1063 to 1135. He, of course, as you know, wrote the commentaries on the 100 koans of the Hekigan-roku, the Blue Cliff Record, and on today's koan as well. So then we go to Japan, and we meet Genro Oryu, the 18th century Soto Zen master and compiler of the 100 cases that make up the iron flute. And Fugai Hongko, his chief disciple, an artist and a poet and a commentator. And we meet Nyogen Senzaki, who came from Japan to the United States in 1905 and stayed until his death in 1958. And he was the one who translated the iron flute into English and wrote commentaries on the cases. And we don't quite meet, but we know behind the scenes was Nyogen Senzaki's chief disciple and his editor, Ruth Strout McCandless. And in Senzaki's comments on today's case, we have two unnamed women from Chinese lore, and finally, anybody missing?
The ant. The ant.
Whoa, and the honey.
Confucius.
Huh?
Old woman.
Finally, we have,
Confucius.
huh? Jishas?
Confucius.
Confucius, oh yes, I'm so sorry. So, forgot Confucius. Yeah, but his wisdom. Wow. Yes, but who do we have finally? Who?
Woman.
Which one?
A woman.
A woman? We have two women. I already mentioned them. And Ruth Strout McCandless, third woman. Well,
The monk who asks, what about Manjushri?
I mentioned Manjushri, the monk who asks.
What about you?
Huh?
What about you who's telling the story?
Yeah, what about me? And what about you? Right? All of us.
What about Kagon? Did you talk about Kagon?
I started with him. Yes. Shall I start again?
The Tathagata.
Hmm?
The Tathagata.
And the Tathagata, absolutely. Where do we not find the Tathagata? But the most important thing is really that you are a part of this. We all are this koan. Now it's simple, right? No cast of characters to keep track of. Just you yourself. Okay. Well, let's go into the case. So, I told you Keigon Kyujo was the shusho. This is the Soto term for manager monk. At the monastery of Rakuho Gennon, who himself was quite a guy. Some of you are familiar with the Book of Rinzai. Book of Rinzai. Rakuho served as Inji to Master Rinzai. And he appears in several chapters of Kanben, cross-examinations. In chapter 11, let's see if we can find that. Chapter 11. Here we go. Too many little pieces of paper. Okay. This is chapter 11. The master heard that Tokusan, some of you are familiar with Tokusan Senkan, that Tokusan had said, 30 blows if you can speak, 30 blows if you cannot. Master Rinzai told Rakuho, who was his Inji, go to Tokusan's place and ask him, why 30 blows to one who can speak? Wait for Tokusan to try to hit you. Then grab his stick, push him away, and see what happens. This is what the Inji was told. Rakuho went to Tokusan's place. He did as instructed. Tokusan hit him. Grabbing his stick, Rakuho pushed him away. Tokusan returned to his quarters. Just like a famous case in which Tenzo says, hey, old man, I haven't struck the gong yet. What are you doing here? What did he do? Just return. Return to his quarters. In this case, this chapter 11, Rakuho came back and reported what had happened. Master Rinzai said, for a long time, I have had wonder for that fellow. Be that as it may, did you see Tokusan? Did you see Tokusan? Rakuho was about to say something, Rinzai hit him. The usual. Any slight hesitation. Did you see? And there's another passage with Rakuho. Master Rinzai in chapter 14 asked Rakuho, from olden times, one used the stick, another shouted. Which one is more intimate? What would you say? You choose stick? Okay, anybody else? Well, Rakuho said, neither. The master asked, what is intimacy? Rakuho shouted. The master hit him. So all is well. You know, Master Rinzai passed away in 867, and Rakuho later trained with and became a Dharma heir of Kasan Zene and established his own monastery. And that was where Kegon Kyujo was training. And after that, he became, Kegon Kyujo became a disciple and one of the many, many heirs of the great Tozan Ryokai, who lived from 807 to 869. and was the co-founder of the Soto school of Zen. Kegon himself was summoned by the emperor Zhuangzong. I have no idea if that's how you say it. To teach Zen at the imperial court. And the Essence of the Five Lamps book has an entry on Kegon Kyujo, and it has this exchange. A disciple asked, "What if our great army presents sacrificial offerings to the King of Heaven, asking that it be victorious in battle? And the enemy army does the same, asking that it be the victor. Which request will the King of Heaven honor? Which is most intimate?" The master replied, "When heaven sends down rain and dew, it does not choose between luxuriant and withered plants." In other words, the King of Heaven doesn't take sides. Everywhere, the earth is saturated by rain and dew. The warm spring sun shines impartially. The stars glitter. Kanzeon hears all cries. Her tears are for all suffering beings. Compassion flows with no preference, no choice, no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, therefore no fear. Yet, humans declare war on each other. As you said, in Philadelphia, brothers are killing brothers. In Russia, in Ukraine, all over the world, thinking their views are the only ones worthy of being chosen. And Bob Dylan satirized this in his song, "With God on Our Side." How many of you know that song? Yeah. With God on our side. I have 3 last verses of that song. I can't say I'll sing it to you because Dylan didn't exactly sing them, but some of you may remember. But now we got weapons of chemical dust. If fire them we're forced to, then fire them we must. One push of the button and a shot the world wide. And you never ask questions when God's on your side. Through many a dark hour, I've been thinking about this, that Jesus Christ was betrayed by a kiss. But I can't think for you. You'll have to decide whether Judas Iscariot had God on his side. So now as I'm leaving, I'm weary as hell. The confusion I'm feeling ain't no tongue can tell. The words fill my head and fall to the floor. That if God's on our side, he'll stop the next war. Well, leaving our era and returning to Kegon's, another time, a student asked, why does someone greatly awakened still get confused? This is a perturbing and familiar question, isn't it? If someone has great insight, shouldn't all that person's actions reflect that awakened mind? An urgent question, right? Based on logical thinking. If this, then. And based on separating mind. Dualistic mind. Enlightened. Deluded, right? And the question itself is deluded. And perhaps some of you remember the old man in Kyujo and the Fox, when he had been the head monk on that mountain and was asked, does an enlightened person fall under the yoke of causation? He had said, no. Wham! 500 lifetimes as a fox. Why does someone greatly awakened still get confused? So each of us is the owner of our own karma. Only you can answer that question. And it may take lifetimes of assiduous practice, dedicated practice, true purification. Every morning and throughout the day and night as practitioners, to really recite this verse of purification. How does it go in Japanese, Kenro? And in English, all the harmful karma ever committed by me since of old, born of my weakness, greed, anger, and folly, born of my body, mouth, and thought, I now confess and purify it all. I'm sure I'm not the only one to have noticed that after this verse has been recited, maybe an hour later, maybe a second later, harmful karma Where did that come from? How is this possible? It takes a lot of intense practice to wipe away deeply etched karmic imprints. Enlightenment experience doesn't automatically fix anything. Sorry. And that's a good thing. Why?
You can keep practicing.
Keep on keeping on. Enlightenment is not a get out of jail card. Get out of jail free card, right? From Monopoly. It's not a get out of karma card. But as we shine the light on our own karma, we see so much more clearly. And we're encouraged to keep on, to keep on. And then we may think, okay, got it. That's that. Took care of that. And then what? Nope. Comes round again. Maybe in a subtler form. Maybe we can barely recognize it until we're hit on the head by, maybe if we're lucky, a keisaku, otherwise a piano. Get with it. Never ends. Still more to see into. And here's what's important. To do this not in a self-chastising or blaming way. Okay? If you don't have love, what's the point? Know thyself. Love thyself. So with faith and understanding, we come to see our delusions as our teachers. And we feel gratitude for all those miserable things that we've endured. Maybe not this lifetime. Maybe some of you are sailing along free and clear, but some of us have very clear experience in misery. The avatars of Buddha. And this is true practice, okay? Working from within, not thinking, okay, we can change the outer manifestations and what? By working this sincerely, we feel the heart opening. We feel the inner flower opening petal by petal. When Eido Roshi gave me my Roshi name, Shinge, I felt so unworthy. Oh my goodness, Shin, the heart, Ge, flower. Something to really work toward. It's easy to close down, feel threatened, but let the love shine, huh? Anyway, Kegon told that questioner, you probably forgot the question by now, what about somebody who has had an enlightenment experience and is still acting kind of, anything but? He said, a broken mirror cannot reflect the light. Fallen petals find it difficult to climb back up to their branches. The original clear mirror mind, he implied, can get fractured, and then one's actions are chaotic, confused, lack integrity. But I think there's a different way to look at this broken mirror. Light reflects in everything. Every shard. Like the moon shines in Beecher Lake. It also shines in a little puddle. It shines in the morning dew. And when the reflection is disturbed, that's when the great mystery can be revealed. So, in this regard, I now want to tell you, as promised, about Mugai Nyodai. She was born 800 years ago this year. Her given name was Chiyono. Her father was a samurai, and she married young and had a daughter and was highly educated. She began practicing at Engakuji in Kamakura. It was founded by the Chinese Rinzai Zen priest Mugaku Sogen, whose honorary title was Bukko Kokushi. He became her teacher, and in 1279, he transmitted the Dharma to her. She thus became the first female Zen master in the world and was the founder of Keiji, the head temple complex of the 5-mountain Rinzai Zen Convent Association, and also of Shokenji, a convent in Gifu. She died in 1298. How is it that she is not in the official records as a lineage holder?
They discriminated against women.
Hmm?
They discriminated against women?
Mm-hmm. Yes. In 2018, I attended an unforgettable gathering at Columbia University. It was for the 700th memorial commemoration of Mugai Nyodai. Her portrait statue was on view, and a contingent of nuns from Japan's imperial convents had come, along with the late Keido Fukushima Roshi, abbot of Tofukuji in Kyoto. The temple structure that this temple was modeled on, architecture. He was a great teacher, a great calligrapher. He loved bridges and Joan Baez and Godiva coffee. He was a very fine host. We visited him and his temple a couple of times. Were you there one time? Did you go with us?
I'm not sure to that temple.
Tofukuji, a beautiful place filled with bridges, and Fukushima Roshi was a bridge. He really felt that American Zen students could completely get it. And he was very enthusiastic and supportive of our practice, even though his last years he suffered terribly from Parkinson's. But it was after that gathering that I introduced Mugai Nyodai into our dedications. And I don't know if any other Rinzai Zen temples have done so. But we are celebrating her at this session. And you know, you've probably read in Yogen Senzaki's Zen Flesh, Zen Bones, the story about her enlightenment. Chiyono, her given name, she was practicing for quite a long time and had not yet realized her true nature. And I'm sure some of you can relate to this. She had become very discouraged. Been sitting and sitting and sitting day in, day out. I still, somehow, there's something, some kind of pane of glass between. One day she was carrying a very old, much repaired bucket of water from the river to the monastery. And she gazed at the reflection of the full moon in the water. And suddenly the bottom dropped out. The water spilled everywhere. The perfect reflection of the moon was dispersed in all the myriad droplets. And she wrote an enlightenment poem. In this way and that I try to save the old pail. The bamboo strip was weakening and about to break, until at last the bottom fell out. No more water in the pail, no more moon in the water. Remember Leonard Cohen's very well-known song, Anthem? There is one line, forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. So, anyway, we should probably go back to the koan. What do you think? Yes or no? Yeah, we have time. So, Keigon Kyujo was the manager monk at Rakaho's place. And here he is giving very clear, coherent instructions. You all go that way. You all go that way, right? Today is the 4th day. We have so-san, slurping of noodles. Middle day, transition. Noodles just go right down your throat, right? Sometimes you choke. So in So-san, we started with Tanto line. This evening, we will have Jikijitsu line. Clear, coherent instructions, right? Jisan. Upholding the rule rather than individual preferences. Smoothly, all as one. Would you like to collect firewood, or would you like to go work in the field? We don't do that. This monastic training, even for 1 week session, is very difficult for Westerners who are accustomed to individuality. It's a little different from I alone am the world-honored one. No, I want to do it my way. This is what I need. I know better than they do, etc. As it is said in the Diamond Sutra, that ego entity, that personality, that separated individuality is somehow felt as real. Anyway, these are the orders that Kyujo gave, and Fugai says a general gives orders to his soldiers. Then the head monk says, well, what about Manjushri? What should he do? You've told the monks on the first 15 seats, you've told the monks on the last what to do, but what about Manjushri? And Nyogen Senzaki says, oh, every temple has a painting or a sculpture of Manjushri. Then Fugai says, he is really the head monk. That he is very interesting. I'm not speaking gender now. I'm speaking about who is he? When the head monk says, well, what about Manjushri? What should he do? Manjushri is really the head monk. The head monk is manifesting Manjushri. You know Manjushri. Some of you remember the old woman at the foot of the mountain when the monks are going up to the sacred mountain where Manjushri is said to live. And she asks them, they ask her, what is the way to Mount Gutai? And she says, go straight on. And they go, and then she says audibly, a fine young monk, he too goes that way. And they complain to Joshu, who comes to investigate her. That's the koan. But I also wanted to read something that Hokuto Osho, using a different translation, read the other day. And this is Manjushri. Many students of Dharma search for Manjushri Bodhisattva on Mount Gotai. Those monks going on. Which is the way? Mistake! There is no Manjushri on Mount Gotai. Do you want to know who Manjushri is? When you are free of doubt, your continuous everyday activity is the living Manjushri. Your activity right now, unaffected by inconstancy and doubt, is the living Manjushri. Your single thought of non-discriminating light pervading everywhere is the real Samantabhadra, Fugen. Your single thought that emancipates you wherever you may be is the Dharma of Avalokiteshvara Samadhi, Kanzeon. These three always appear together, taking alternately the places of master and attendants. One is three. Three are one. Only when you understand it in this way do you have eyes to appreciate the sutras and shastras. On this fourth day, we have eyes and ears to appreciate the Ryogonshu. We may not yet have read the translation of the Surangama Sutra, but maybe our eyes are now open, our ears are open. Isn't it beautiful? You are trying to keep up with it. Your tongue gets tied. Your mind wanders. You can no longer find that syllable. And then you return. And suddenly, all the voices together. Three are one. One is three. Well, the manager monk simply gives out the orders. He's not concerned with any outward manifestation. He says, Manjushri has nothing to do with it. No elevation of any such sacred mountain, sacred image. Just do what has to be done. That itself is Manjushri. Not out there. It's right here, within your body, your actions. As Master Rinzai said, your continuous everyday activity. Then Nyogen Senzaki's comment. He says, in the Diamond Sutra we read, Subhuti, anyone who says that the Tathagata comes or goes or sits or lies down does not understand my teaching. Like the Buddha, Manjushri neither comes nor goes. Kegon says, I have nothing to do. Manjushri has nothing to do with it. How can Manjushri be separated from it? And that's when Fugai says, yes, he knows his position very well. Where is Manjushri's position?
Right here and now. Wherever you are.
And then Engo Kokogon has the comment. Kegon gave a wonderful performance. The head monk's question was fine enough to thread 9 spiral shells. And again, Fugai, please. Nothing fine about it to me. And then Yogen Senzaki tells the story of Confucius not being able to figure out how to thread those 9 spiral shells. Now remember, this is quite a misogynistic culture. Okay, so when a woman is the one who can make this happen by doing something very ordinary, right? Putting some honey at the end of a piece of thread. The ants come. They carry it through. No problem. This kind of just act. Do it. And then another story about rings. Nyogen Senzaki says to Engo's comment to open interlocking rings, I have a different method. What is his method? Well, there was no one who could do it. No wise man, Nyogen Senzaki said, could do it. But a woman did what? Just smashed it, right? Nothing to talk about here. Just smash the damn thing. There it is. They're all open. Engo then commented, if I were questioned in that way by the head monk, I would answer, the path is like a mirror. It does not move itself, but reflects all that comes. Now, again, right? The path is like a mirror, the clear mirror mind. And Fugai says, that's it. Then Genro says, if anyone asked me, without threading 9 spiral shells or releasing interlocking rings, what manjushri has to do, I would hit him before he even finished his question. Why? Because those who cultivate the fields have only to act as ordered, and those gathering wood also act as ordered. Plain and simple. And Nyogen Senzaki says, that is the actual act of manjushri. We have to break that perfect mirror. We have to smash it into smithereens. Our customary clinging to what we think is wisdom, what we think is realization, this kind of thinking, this reification, making an object of it, positioning it somehow in an elevated way. This we have to kill. Let the bottom fall out. Go straight into that broken mirror. No, each shard is sharply teaching. And like Humpty Dumpty, who sat on the wall and had a great fall, we can't piece it back together again. We can't make something external. We have to realize our own wholeness and realize that, like DNA, each strand, each shard is the whole. And then Genro, before Genro's verse, Fugai says, Kegon shows Dharmakaya, the body of law or truth. Genro depicts Sambhogakaya, the reward body or bliss body. Engo shows Nirmanakaya, the manifestation body, the Buddha taking on human form. And he says, if I were the manager monk, I would hit the gavel and dismiss the head monk for the day. So this reference to the three bodies, the three kaya of Buddha. And speaking of Kegon as Dharmakaya, Genro as Sambhogakaya, the reward body, I heard a wonderful statement from one of you yesterday. Each thought is its own reward. Each thought is its own reward. Not something leading up to something else. Not somehow taking you away from this reward body. This reward body. Each thought is a lotus flower. And on each lotus flower is revealed none other than your beautiful, perfect being. Genro's verse was interrupted line by Fugai, as usual. Let me just read it to you without Fugai's comments, although they are wonderful. I'm sure you'll remember them. Great wisdom is like great stupidity, one and the same. Anyway, here it goes. Threading 9 spirals or smashing interlocking rings, the wheel of Dharma turns itself independently. What do we chant? As for turning the wheel of Dharma, let no thought be wasted over it. I'm sorry, Genro, I now made a comment. Okay, let's get back to the poem. Confucius is wise, but he cannot defeat the woman. The old pine tree grows on a snow-covered rock. The early plum blossom anticipates the spring and smiles at the fence. And I want to end with a short poem. This is the Enlightenment poem of Toei-enji, Hakuin Zenji's great disciple, who wrote Bodhisattva's vow. Here is his poem. Dharmakaya, Dharmakaya. I see you as a mountain leaning on the sky. I see you as a rapid, constantly running cascade. The teaching of Buddha is my own now. I am the master of this flowery spring.